It's almost time for the final week of Stage 3 before the major. Week 3 right around the corner. And guys, this is the last chance for some of these teams to kind of try and shuffle for the top 3 in their groups. And I mean, are you guys feeling like there's any hope for some of those bottom teams? Or do you think what we got now is what we got?
I'm feeling like what we have now is going to be a pretty good representation of where we end up. It's a tough road for some of these teams to hoe. You know what I mean? Like this is tough.
I don't know. I think I'm on the other side of this. It's going to be interesting. I mean, okay, maybe not if you're like at the bottom, like
the bottom.
Okay. No, when I'm actually looking at both of the groups, besides Group B, because they got Seattle who didn't win a series. In London, like one of those top 4 teams isn't going to be a winner's bracket. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like you have OpTic versus FaZe coming up, New York versus LA Thieves, and so like no one is safe. Even Los Angeles Thieves, like if they lose to Subliners, there's a good chance that they start losing bracket.
Yeah.
Okay.
There could be some very interesting kind of tiebreaker potential setups
at the top end
happen
for sure.
Group B. Yeah.
For sure.
What do you consider the bottom though? Group A, like they're all in the bottom. Basically, they're all 1 2.
That's fair. That's fair.
No, that is fair. That's fair. I guess when I look at it, I'm thinking about the teams that I consider the bottom teams. Like Paris, I'm not even sure if they have a chance. Do they have a chance? How many more matches? 2. So they say they finished 3 and 3. That could put. They have 1 match. Oh, they have 1 match left. Never mind.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Yeah.
Never mind. I don't know if you've ever seen the board of what could happen with all these things with the scenarios. It's actually ridiculous. Yeah. But Ian, go ahead and call out some wild shit like you did last time, and maybe you'll be right.
Who knows? Well, before we get to that, Ian, you can percolate. You can marinate on some of that wild shit you can come up with. Let's take a look at some of the fixtures for the week 3 of Stage 3. Kicking it off, Minnesota and Gorillas, but the key match for the first day, Subliners and OpTic going up against each other. Very excited to watch that match. We've got other keys, Florida and Dallas, Atlanta and Seattle, maybe that one. Some of these, I think you can probably guess what the score lines are going to be. Day 3, Subliners again, they have to go up against Thieves. So Subliners, a very, very stacked week for them. Gorillas will also face Florida, but take a look at Day 4, OpTic and FaZe. They will be that middle match on the day, but perhaps the biggest, and closing it out with Minnesota and Dallas. So some very, very important series that have the potential to go down, that will go down this upcoming week. But let's start with OpTic and FaZe. Kind of one of the biggest matches, maybe the biggest match this week, but OpTic, FaZe, Pacman, FaZe beat Thieves in a close Game 5 series. Thieves beat OpTic 3-1. Do you expect a FaZe win, or do you think OpTic maybe can pull some out?
I mean, I definitely expect a FaZe win. Most certainly. OpTic can definitely come out here and compete and put up a fight. But at the end of the day, FaZe is FaZe, and it's hard for me to pick against them, especially when they're going up against a team that doesn't look like they're at their top of their form. I don't think OpTic is as good as they can be. In order to beat FaZe, in order to be predicted to beat FaZe, you need to be firing on all cylinders, and they're not there. Could they do it? Of course. FaZe has been winning Game 5s, going Game 5s in all these series, but at the end of the day, they're still pulling most of them out. So I have to lean towards FaZe in this one.
Gotta agree, John. You gotta think FaZe is just a little too much for the boys in Chicago. I know. I think this will be a good test, though, to kind of see really if OpTic is kind of in this downwards trend right now.
That's a great point.
This FaZe hasn't looked the greatest. You know, I don't want to say they're struggling, or I think they might be kind of in a plateau right now. But so if FaZe comes out and they kind of just beat the brakes off OpTic, you got to wonder if OpTic starts thinking about a team change. You have to, because then you're going to be in losers bracket. Not only are you going to be in losers bracket at that point, you just really don't know what the future holds for your team. You're kind of in like this really odd situation. So if that happens, obviously, if you're an OpTic fan, that's not good. But on the other side, OpTic needs to play good versus FaZe. If they can beat FaZe, they'll kind of get their swagger back. I think beating the team because OpTic still looks at FaZe as the best team in the game, in my opinion, right now. It's just one of those things. Even though it's Toronto, it's just one of those things when you're a competitor. I think FaZe had their number. They look like we beat FaZe. Like we're not gonna lose to a team like Toronto.
Yeah.
So I think it's gonna be a big match for both teams, but I don't see OpTic winning this, unfortunately.
Here's the thing, though. You mentioned it about the losers bracket. This is now multiple stages back to back where they're battling to get into the winners bracket. Even in the past, when OpTic struggled, they were always up there. You never had to worry about it. But with this team right now, you're constantly in this battle to try to get that last winners bracket spot, like, consistently on the edge. And you finish at both majors, 5th, 6th place. I know the last one had a ridiculous circumstance, but the fact is that they were in a spot where it was round 11. Who cares? It goes either way, but it's round 11. That's a coin flip. They're in that spot back-to-back times, and then they're again in this spot where they're battling to not to get the losers. And it's just, how often can they just do the same thing with this roster over and over again? Is that actually their potential? Or they go insane. Is that, yeah, exactly. Is this their limit? Is this where they really belong? Even though we all think they can do so much more.
Like, how could it not be with this roster? You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. Are we just all blind or something? Like, this team should be winning. Or they should at least be contending.
No,
but should they though? Or are we all wrong? Like, you know what I mean? We could we could just be wrong. Like we are. Like everyone was wrong with the LA Thieves roster and the OGLA roster, where you look at it and go, that roster is disgusting, but it just wasn't. It's just wrong. It's just a bad roster. Could be the same thing.
Yeah, on paper is not always something you can necessarily rely on. So who knows? Maybe we're right. Maybe we're wrong. But speaking of, potential OpTic FaZe matchup, how that goes down, let's talk about the losers for Group B. So before we finish with Week 3, Ian, John, I want your losers bracket teams from Group B. Who are you predicting is going to be in the losers?
OpTic, Seattle, and London.
Yeah, I was gonna say
that's just my gut.
Yeah,
London and Seattle are going to be there. And then OpTic plays Subliners and FaZe. That's like
such a hard road.
That's tough sledding if you're OpTic. Because even if they go 1-1, I don't even know if that necessarily will guarantee them to be in winners bracket. It won't actually, right? Or will it?
1-1 that would put them through. No, it definitely wouldn't. It wouldn't guarantee anything for sure. Then there's gonna be a whole bunch of tiebreaker scenarios, who they lost to. So yeah, we have no idea.
Realistically, I think OpTic has the most chance to go 0-2 this week compared to all the other teams that have a chance. And they just haven't looked good. So I think they got lucky. They got lucky in the last group not to go in losers, in my opinion. Just because how all the fucking series went. But I think this time around they're gonna have to start in loser bracket, and they're gonna have to kind of not even everyone else, but just show themselves what they're really made of, and how good they are. More so instead of their expectations. Like, let's just break it down. Like, we need to put on for ourselves to get some confidence. If not, who knows if you got to make a change in the future.
Yeah, I think those are all great points. And I want to move us on to kind of some of the really, really meaty topics of this preview show. And let's start with Hook. We talked about it last week, how shocking it was to see him get benched, kind of a lot of question marks around that. And what happens with Hook? Where should Hook go? Should he go anywhere? I really want to dig into this, Pacman. So when you look at Hook, where do you think he should go?
There's so many possibilities, but he's disgusting. So let me look at this. I'm not gonna steal Ian's because I feel like Ian's is really great. So I'm gonna let that rock. Let me think.
I got a whole different one brewing, baby. Go ahead.
Oh, dude, you have a whole other one. Okay. If I'm looking at it, I'm trying to give him a chance. So, because I kind of want to give him a chance to get that top 8. So a lot of the teams I'm looking at that would switch, it's like, if you put him on these teams, could he get that team to 8th place? Could he make it to champs? LAG is the obvious spot for me, but they have this thing where they just believe in this core. They believe in their roster so much. But for me, I don't believe in that roster ever being a championship roster. I just don't. And for me, it would be getting him to sign there, getting him to sign for either for the sub spot, probably for Apathy spot. And then I would have them pick up Slasher too. I'd have them go out of their way, remove Assault for Slasher, and just change the dynamic of the team. And then have that team, at least for the time being, it would be Slasher, Cheen, Hook, Silly, and then from there we can make more moves depending on where the pieces move. But I feel like instantly your top end talent gets better, and they're in a place where they're in the race for 8th place, and I don't want to see them fall out of that. Like LAG has done just enough to remain there, but they're on the edge. They're on the edge, and if Kyler's available, Kyler and Austin are available. Those two guys go to a team that's in the race with you, they're going to pass you. It's going to happen. Just sheer ability, and they're going to close out more close games than you do. And I'm scared for that team if they remain the same. That even though they've been competing, you're still losing a lot of these close matches. And with talent like that out there, you want them. If you can get them, you should get them. And since there's been a LAN announced towards the end, we all know how disgusting Austin is on LAN and how he feels about online play. When it gets to that point, why would you not want that potential on your team?
Right.
Hey, that's pretty good. Not as good as mine, though, Katie. I'll tell you. I got 2 hot takes. You want to hear them?
Yes, we love hot takes.
I'll give you 2. One, the team that I want Kyler on, and one is, I guess, because that's in Florida, but another team I think he will. I would love to see Kyler on Los Angeles Thieves. I would absolutely love, with how good they look, and I'm not going to say for who, okay? Because I'm not, in case they end up seeing this, I don't want them, to get in their heads, because I know they value my opinion so much. But they have been looking great, and they're on the up and up. But I just think for some reason, if we had Kenny and the Hugh duo, I get Prime, Kobe, and Shaq vibes. You know what I'm saying? Prime, am I gassing that? I don't know.
No. Talent-wise, you're obviously not. 2 of the best individual players. The thing is, I don't like taking teams that are on the same page and switching it up. You never know how it affects the situation, even if you're switching out individual talent for someone who's better.
That's just me being a fan. But realistically, the actual team that I think is the underdog, because the one thing that we have to realize, right, when we talk about what are the possibilities for Hugh, is a team is going to have to spend the absolute bag to get him. I don't care if Stro said, he's not going to hold Kyler. He's going to let him go to a team that he wants to go to. He's going to get that money. Now, unless there is another top team that maybe trades and it's not a buyout situation, which I don't know if that's a possibility, the team's going to have to spend the bag. And I think an underrated team, depending on how they do in the stage 3 and the majors, to pick up Kyler moving forward is OpTic Gaming. Or why do I keep saying OpTic Gaming? Is Chicago OpTic. I think that people are letting them fly under the radar because it's OpTic. They don't normally make these team changes, especially when you look at this roster. It's like, who would you drop? But I think if they don't do well, you have to think that they've had enough time to kind of put it together, and they just kind of aren't. You got to bring someone new in. When you look at OpTic, they're so talented. So you could argue Kyler is a little more talented than some of the players on that team. So it's like, it would make sense in that aspect, but then also it's something new. Because you can't just replace someone on OpTic with just any Joe Schmo. You can't. Kyler's got all the tools to actually be on that team and help make them better. So that's my hot take. I think if OpTic don't do well, he's going there.
So you think he's gonna, essentially you're saying they're gonna trade him for Envoy, which is a trade that I could see Dallas doing. That's what you have to be saying, because it's not gonna be. You don't trade Scump, and unless Scump
they're not giving up their Prince.
No. They'll give up anyone if it means winning.
They will.
I don't know.
I think they trade. If there's one person that gets moved, the first person I think is Dashy.
But okay, I agree with you. We agree there, but that's not a trade that Dallas would do. You see what I'm saying? Like, they're not going to take. Maybe OpTic. Maybe they don't trade him. Maybe they have enough money, is what I'm saying. If Kyler goes to Stroh, that's also why I went to LAG, because I just know that organization has a bunch of money.
There's only a couple teams that can afford Kyler
for sure,
and there's only a couple teams that Dallas would even want. You know, they're not just going to take anyone in a trade.
That's why I tried. Like, I know about how it would fit with like Florida's and Paris and all that, but those teams, I don't see those teams dropping a bag for these players. Like, it just, it's a lot. It's a lot.
Well, we're talking about Hugh here. You're going to be dropping 6 figures easily.
Oh yeah, with no question. It's just how high into the 6 figures are you going to be dropping. But here's the thing though, with OpTic and Kyler, Hook hates the internet. Like, I don't know if you guys know this. Hook does not. He doesn't talk. He doesn't want to talk to you.
Hey, anything you want to say to the fans, Mr. Hugh the Nuke?
Hey, always appreciate the fans. All the support and all that. Like, I'm not much. I don't say much, but like, hey, deep down, all the support, it means a lot, bro. It means a lot. So I appreciate everyone supporting.
For the fans out there that don't really know Kyler very much, I'm hoping to bring him on these videos, and maybe we can do like more in the life of Kyler, so you guys can get a feel for his personality, because he's a really fun dude. But it's just like from the outside, you're like, oh, this guy's kind of shut off. Like, he's a beast. But is he chill? I don't know, man. Like, but he's vibey, like he says. He's super vibey.
Like, he streams, he barely streams, but everyone loves watching him play. He'll turn his stream on and he'll have like 1,000 viewers, and he'll be like, yeah, this sucks, and he'll just turn it off. Like, he doesn't want to answer your questions, he doesn't want to talk to you, he doesn't want to do your interviews, he doesn't want to do any of that. He just wants to play the games and enjoy his life and go about his business. That is not OpTic. OpTic is the internet. Like, OpTic is like, yo, you woke up, turn the camera on, let me know what's going on.
I have a list of like 17 things that I want to do right fucking now, but I cannot because of, I don't know, little obstacles, man. But we'll get it together.
Like, get your ass in here, do this video, sit around this table with me, talk about the fast food list. Like, get in here and do this. We're doing this. That's just not Kyler. Maybe you can transform him. Maybe being a part of OpTic will change it, because I don't know. I've never been in that machine. But obviously, Hex knows what he's doing. But naturally, that is not Kyler's personality. He's not an OpTic type of person, just himself. I can't remember the last time the only thing he ever said was, hey guys, they treated me well, it was nice. And he hasn't said anything since. He doesn't say anything. He doesn't say, like, he just wants to play and do his thing.
Fair. I think though that's an underrated pick. He could make his way to Chicago OpTic.
So who knows? Maybe OpTic and just no content. Write it into his contract. He doesn't want to do any content at all.
That doesn't exist.
Get that motherfucker out my face.
Hey, welcome to OpTic.
So Hook, he's got a lot of options and kind of one of those top folks that are available potentially for teams to grab. And Seattle, they have already made a switch. It came out this week, Monday morning. Looney going to the bench. Decimate coming in his place. Decimate is a player you'll be familiar with from Gorillas last year. So he is making his return to CDL on Seattle. And Ian, right away, actually, I want to start this with Pacman first, because you know Looney very well. So I kind of want to address this to you first. When I look at Looney, I see a play. It's not like he was ever out of position. He makes extremely smart plays around the map. He knows what he's doing. Maybe he was getting outgunned, even though he was in those good positions. But he wasn't a bad player for them at all. And he was the IGL. He was kind of one of those glue players too. So It sucks to see personally. I hate seeing Looney get benched. What is your take, kind of knowing him, knowing the team, knowing the players on the team, bringing Decimate in, benching Looney? What are your thoughts?
Honestly, I mean, I know what the community thinks. Like, he doesn't put up the kills. He doesn't put up the stats that everyone else does. He's not cracked. Whatever the sub pressure is, I'm not going to say it's BS, but I just know that for Dan specifically, he just has a different type of play style, and I'm not sure if it's translated perfectly into this new style of Call of Duty where you have to be able to do everything at all times and pick up the kills. He's a really cerebral player. Really cerebral. He was a really cerebral.
We're making a compilation of all of this.
Listen, cut that out now. But of course, I don't like seeing him be dropped. I don't like seeing him be in this position. I know how it is. People pick up new players and they get super hyped that maybe this guy's gonna come in and get a couple more kills. But Decimate's been in the league before. I'm not expecting all that much from this change. Like Decimate's not a better Call of Duty player than Looney. Let me just say that right now. He's just not. And I don't even think that's a hot take. Maybe the world sees it differently than I do. Maybe I'm a little bit too biased. But I've been watching Dan compete at a high level for about 7 years now, at a really, really high level, and he's had success. These last couple years have tweaked everyone's perception of him, and I think that it's kind of unfair. But Seattle did need to do something. So if this is what they felt was the best, if this is what they needed, they're probably right in that sense. And I know Dan said things were starting to get a bit toxic within that team. I'm not going to say everything that he said to me in private because it's a private conversation.
I tell you.
But it wasn't the best fit for him, and the team just wasn't working. So hopefully for him, he figures out something. I don't want him to retire. Who knows what it may be. Maybe Decimate fits better within their system than Looney would. So although I just said he's not a better Call of Duty player than Dan, he's not. He could fit better into the system, into the situation, and it could benefit Seattle.
I mean, I guess it's hard to say that he wouldn't improve Seattle because I think they're the worst team in the league. So it's
exactly,
you're staying the worst, or even if you get a little bit better, he would improve him. But to John's point, I don't think that it was a one-man issue. I think they just couldn't all put it together at the same time. There were times in Cold War where all 4 of these players on Seattle were considered the best player on their team. So I think there's a bigger issue there. Now, I don't know what that issue was. Clearly something was off. They couldn't put it together. That was obvious. And I think Decimate, he looks really good in this game. And Respawn, very good S&D player. And I don't want to sound like I'm kind of being harsh on the guy, but like John said, in Call of Duty, it's business at the end of the day. This isn't Decimate's first time. You know what I'm saying? He's been here. He hasn't really had that much success. I mean, he's been solid, but he hasn't been anything special by any means, And so it's like when you don't have that resume, it's really hard to say that he's going to make them any better. Maybe he might bring a little bit more slang to the team and whatnot. I don't know. Seattle has bigger issues. So I hope they do well. I do. I hope they get better. But I don't know if Decimate is just going to come in and completely change their dynamic. But we'll just have to wait and find out. Because who knows? Maybe he comes in and looks like LeBron.
Yeah. I mean, I think you guys make good points that sometimes just the team fit, whether it's the chemistry, pacing, otherwise, not necessarily a player being better than another player so much as they just fit in with a group, with a mentality better than someone else may. Regardless, I think it sucks to see Looney get benched. I love watching him play, so hopefully we see him return sooner rather than later. Let's go on to our one to watch. Could be a team, could be a player. Ian, would you like to pick first? Going into week 3, someone you got your eye on.
To watch. I will go first. Thank you so much, Katie. I appreciate that. For me, I'm picking a team. I've been talking about them. Chicago OpTic is my team to watch going into this week. This is a make or break week for them. They go up against FaZe and Subliners. This could be a huge week for them going forward with momentum and just their confidence in their team if they somehow go 2-0 versus these teams. But if they don't, if things go south, they start in losers bracket, they could have a very hard time in this major. And then that's when you have to wonder, maybe this team, we had certain expectations for this team. In reality, they're just not as good as we all thought. And then they have to start thinking about making a team change. So this is going to be a huge week for OpTic. And it's going to go one of two ways. I don't think they're just going to kind of split it down the middle, go 1-1, do solid again at the major, you know what I'm saying? And then stick together. I think they're either going to excel and start to hit stride, or they will end up having to make a team change from poor performance.
Okay. I'm going to go with NYSL and kind of the same thing. So although I do believe that they've been looking better, I want to look at Hydra and Mac kind of as a duo here and say they have to figure out how to win these games and these search and destroys. Hydra's not been good at search. He just hasn't. But he's been phenomenal.
Do you win my shit?
Did anyone hear anything? But
wait, I heard something. Wait.
I was gonna go there. No, you take it. But I was gonna lean into Hydra, but Pacman, you take it because you're on the same wavelength as me.
But he's obviously the wonderkin. He's not going anywhere. Mac's the one that could get switched out for Diamond Con if things don't work out the correct way. It's just they also have one of those weeks where they could go 0-2. Now, last week they had that loss to London Royal Ravens and that win against Seattle. So I'm gonna throw that out there as this week where they didn't change much for me. I don't have any new thoughts. But this next week is similar to LA Thieves' previous one, where this is a really important week for this NYSL roster. They either get the confidence in this unit and this four that they can go into this major and win it, or they will be doubting themselves if they come out of this with a bad week. They will be doubting themselves if they lose to OpTic and LA Thieves. These are two teams where, yes, they're good teams, but they're not the championship level teams, right? That's Toronto and FaZe. Those are the two championship teams right now. Those are the teams that you're expecting to see that you're going to have to beat to win. If you lose to OpTic and LA Thieves, your confidence in actually winning the championship is gone. If you beat both those teams, you have the confidence to beat FaZe and Toronto at the actual major. It's just the way it goes. It's just how your confidence feels, how the momentum is within your team. And this is a really big week for them. And in order to do that, they're going to have to win those searches.
So I don't know. I think that those are really great picks. I think focusing specifically on Subliners and OpTic, obviously there's a lot for both of those teams. Pacman, I love that you mentioned Hydra because that's really what I thought of initially too, especially with his S&D. I think he needs to get that buttoned up as well. But I also want to look at Decimate, right? We've talked. He came in for Looney on Seattle. Seattle faces Atlanta FaZe on Friday, and they face London on Sunday. So one to watch for me has got to be Decimate. I think you need to come into that team, and you can't have a slow, figure it out start with Seattle. I don't even care if it's a honeymoon phase, whatever. You need to he needs to come out hot for that team and show folks that Seattle maybe has what it takes now to shake something up at least. I think if Decimate comes out flat or maybe the team just looks the same, it just sort of becomes a disappointment. So I think at least in particular for me, I definitely want to see how Decimate performs. Granted, you're going up against FaZe. That's tough. That's tough. That's not easy. So maybe they can make something happen against London. But for me, Decimate, prove that you deserve to be in that starting lineup. Prove that you can maybe start making things work in the right direction for Seattle. And on that note, bold predictions, gentlemen. Like London beating Subliners. Bold predictions.
Hey, Katie, so me and you both got one. John John
it's your time
nothing.
to it's time to shine.
Ain't doing nothing in the ball. So go ahead, John, go first. Go ahead,
What?
go first.
I had to go first?
Yeah, give us a bold. Well, we would hate to take away from your moment to shine.
I want to give you all the options.
I guess I'll just stick with my thing. I feel like NYSL is going to go 2-0 this week, beat both OpTic and LA Thieves. And they're going to go on to get to at least the winners finals at the actual major. All right. So that's going to be about four series wins in a row out of NYSL. I expect them to hit stride at the right time, especially after such a poor performance at the last major. They're going to have to turn around and get back to where we know they can be. And if they do win these two matches, like I think they will, I think it'll give them the confidence going forward to go ahead and do that and get to that winners final against either FaZe or Toronto, depending on brackets.
I like that, actually. I like that. 2-0 on the week.
Okay. I haven't really gassed up my boys, LA Thieves, lately. And it won't seem like a bold prediction at first, but I have them winning their last match of this stage, getting first in the group. The bold prediction is I have them being in the finals of Stage 3 or Major 3. I have them being in the finals. I think Kenny's really just going to continue to take off with that main AR. I think he's going to kind of put himself in a position where there's not really any other main AR that can mess with him, maybe besides Insight. That's why I think Kenny is going. That's my bold take. he's going to blow past the main ARs. I still think he has a little bit to learn because it is such a different play style. But he just looks phenomenal on it. He does. And I think that's going to help just put LA Thieves in a good spot. And they're going to be in the finals. I do.
I like that. All right, you're jumping way ahead, but I like it. Thieves in the finals and having a good week. I don't know if this is Super Bowl just based on what we've said about our power rankings, but I think that Florida could fuck around and take out Dallas, get a win onto them. I think we could see Big Wake go crazy, do what he does, and maybe Havoc has his moment. I don't know. I think Florida could take it over Dallas and maybe cause some trouble.
I was gonna say no shot, but last time we said that it happened. So I'm just gonna keep that to
they could
myself.
definitely be this form of Dallas. I don't know. I don't think that's that crazy to think. Nah.
Okay, well
If
that's
London's
great.
winning, then
All right.
hell, fuck. You know, who knows?
LAG should have beat Empire, by the way.
They should have.
Done. My bold prediction last time got fucked because of them.
They should have. Oh well.
Well, there we go. Florida and Dallas will see who takes it. Thieves, do they make it all the way to the grand finals? And Subliners, do they go 2-0 on the week? Some bold predictions from the reverse sweep crew, but that'll be it for the preview show, guys. We're super excited to see how everything plays out in week 3 of stage 3. Decimate, how does he perform? What happens with Hook? Stay tuned to find out. We'll talk about everything after week 3 wraps up.